Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. So, if this is the first time you've watched any of the videos in this series, essentially what I am doing, if I could talk, is I am building a prototype space sim game. So, if you have seen the other videos, the other two videos that are in the series so far, you see that I added Starfield, which is probably the most I am going to bend towards producing art for the foreseeable future. Just wanted to kind of set the mood a little bit for the sake of these videos, if nothing else. And you'll see that this guy's new and that guy's new, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But first, just want to kind of give an update on the progress that I had made to the stuff that wasn't quite working in the previous videos. So, and that is the loop of being able to into a ship, take off, and land, and do it again. So, walk up, spawn our ship, enter our ship, and launch. And let's come back around. If you can see it, there's a box here that I'm flying towards. Once I'm inside, the landing indicator turns green, and now we can land. Now we can get in, we can do it again. Just keep doing it. And if you remember before, that wasn't working. So another thing that wasn't quite working was the lasers didn't quite affect the environment the same. So I have rebuilt them. Essentially took the first-person weapons projectile blueprint and then made the modifications to re-implement most of the features I had on the lasers. The only thing that seems to be missing is I forgot to put a light on them, but it's neither here nor there. That was just a little fun thing to have, and of course now we have them bouncing and then quickly exploding after a short bounce because we don't want the lasers to continue on forever. Once they hit something, we kind of very quickly want them to die just to keep the overhead down anyway. And of course we can still attack these boxes, and we'll probably get rid of these boxes before too long now that we now have shipping containers. Now, obviously the art for these is just primitives that exist in the Unreal Engine, and so there's no art direction happening yet. The biggest kind of bow to art direction is I made the ship vaguely look like a TIE fighter and kind of TIE bomber kind of combo. So if we see his shadows, he's got a fairly familiar silhouette, but we've got these guys. And so the first real addition and why these guys are becoming important is that we have laser control, so now we can adjust the power system in our lasers. The one thing that we are not doing and this will be added in, is setting the power of our lasers so they're more powerful the more energy we use. And what we can do is set the recharge rate of our lasers, although there's no way for me to demonstrate that to you currently because I don't have that functionality still built into the print screen debugging that I usually do. But once I came up with the laser power system, I put in a shield power system, although there are no shields currently, so there's really nothing to demonstrate that. The ship doesn't actually have health yet, so currently we are still invincible. And just for fun, I put in a special weapon power system. So if you are a fan of the game TIE Fighter and you remember how it played, eventually you could get like a tractor beam and stuff like that. So I have not started on any kind of missile system yet, so there are no missile systems we can transfer or change stuff up to. However, now that we have a sensor system, very basic, very not even fully functional yet, but what we can do is we can start targeting these guys. And so it's a little wacky, partially because the Xbox controller that I'm currently using I'm using the D-pad, so if I press up or down, it switches the mode that we're in. So while in theory it's a great idea, on the Xbox controller it's a little too easy to go diagonal. So I may change that to the X, Y, and A, B buttons simply for precision. Which, if you're moving and you're flying around, you'd be able to switch sensors and power levels and that kind of stuff a bit easier. So I may do that simply for those two reasons alone. But that means that the use button will probably switch to like the right bumper, maybe the left bumper or something like that. Probably the right bumper. Because it's unlikely that you're going to want to hit the use button and shoot at the same time. Eventually, I will be adding joystick support, but I'm not really at that level yet. I do have my joystick with me, and I can do that, but theoretically I can. But the need for it is really not there yet, and I only have so many USB ports, and so I'd rather just test on one controller than add features later. The Xbox controller is more than adequate for testing, so and also gives me a much more limited set of controls to try to work everything through. So if I can get it to work on the Xbox controller, I can get it to work on just about anything else. So there is that. But now that we have power systems for our lasers, and the lasers do drain about 2 points of power per shot, and by default recharge at 5 points, so per second, 5 points per second. So it is actually harder to drain the lasers faster than you use them currently. But I did have it more extreme, and it was really hard to shoot anything and kill anything, or maybe more than one thing, before you had to wait for them to recharge. But it does work. There is a total amount of ship's power that we will eventually be drawing from. I don't think it's currently built into the laser system, and it wouldn't matter if it was, because there's no shields and engine power and that kind of stuff to kind of trade off between, and that's ultimately the goal. But we can't kill these guys. They do have health expressed. I might end up adding a more interesting particle system for when they explode, other than just the default explosion, because you really can't tell it apart from the laser system. Again, that's one of the few things I'll do to bow to art direction, even if it's just like like the motion particles, where they're just boxes flying, squares, even boxes. Just because I wasn't going to put the time into the materials, but maybe just a simple explosion, pixely looking explosion would be enough. You can see a bug there. Currently, the way the sensor system works, it's not. It is selecting items. This box is basically teleporting on. So once they die, it doesn't know that they die. So you do have to change your target in order to clear that out. But eventually there will be a sensor update thing, so that basically at begin play, a number of things will be started, like your ship sensors and a couple other things. But that is pretty much it. No, it doesn't seem like much, and it really isn't. So you're not wrong. But I do work a full-time job, and I really only have weekends and the occasional evening to work on this stuff. So it will be slow going, and so I may not put a video out every week. Occasionally, if I'm happy with progress, I might put 2 out a week to compensate for that. But there isn't really much else to show. So without further ado, I want to say thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Please If you like this kind of video, like and subscribe so that you can get notified every time I post a new video. If you have some constructive criticism or comments in general, please feel free to leave them in the YouTube comments, or if you're in one of my kind of closed group stuff, then you can leave your comments there. I encourage it because feedback's always good. Any questions you guys might have, I'm always happy to answer. This is as much a learning experience for me as it is hopefully for anyone else. So again, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Bye.